Okay, Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera. We continue our lesson today with 1.2 Meristematic Tissues and Growth Part 2. So this is the list of the learning objective that you have to cover for today. Okay, 1.2.4, 1.2.5, 1.2.6 and 1.2.7. Okay, now we take a look on the types of growth. Okay, there are two types of growth that occur in plants, namely primary growth and secondary growth. Okay, what is primary growth? Okay, primary growth is the growth that occurs after germination, and it takes place in all plants to elongate their stems and roots. Okay, this growth takes place in the apical meristems at the shoot tips and root tips. Okay, what is apical meristems? Apical meristems refer to a group of cells, a group of tissue that are actively dividing, that located at the shoot and also at the root. Okay, primary growth starts when the meristem cells in the zone of cell division of apical meristem are actively dividing, followed by elongation and differentiation of the cell. Right, okay, at the shoot tips, leaf primordia and shoot primordia will grow to form new leaves and shoot. Yeah, so this is leaf primordia. All of these are shoot primordia. So this enables the plant to increase in height. At the root tips, the root cap will become exhausted when they penetrate to the soil. This causes the cell of the root cap to be replaced by the meristem cell. So what you should know on the primary growth is growth that occurs after germination, and its purpose is to increase the height of the plants, or in other words, to grow taller. Okay, secondary growth. Okay, what is secondary growth? Secondary growth occurs mainly in eudicote and small number of monocot, especially shrub, to increase the circumference or diameter of the plant stem and roots. Right? Okay, so what is eudicote? Eudicote in the other name is dicot. Okay. And what is monocot? Yeah, monocot and dicot. Okay, so eudicote refer to the flowering plant that produce two leaves after germination. Yeah, and monocot refer to the flowering plant that produce one leaf after germination. Okay, the purpose of the secondary growth that you should know is to increase the circumference or the diameter. So usually we use the word diameter to increase the diameter of the plant stem and root. Okay, for non-woody plants such as herbaceous, secondary growth does not happen. Okay, secondary growth results from the division of the lateral meristem cells located in the stem. Okay, so this type of cell also we already discussed in 1.2 part 1. Okay, what is lateral meristem cell? They are meristematic cells that are actively dividing. Lateral meristem consists of vascular cambium and cork cambium. Yeah, the lateral meristem divide into two, vascular cambium and cork cambium. Okay, where is the vascular cambium? Located between phloem and xylem tissues in the vascular bundles. Okay. And where is the cork cambium? Located under the epidermal layer. Okay, as we can see here, the green layer here is referred to the vascular cambium, and the light yellow here refer to the cork cambium, the light yellow color. Okay. Alright. Okay, now we want to discuss about the secondary growth that occur at the stem. Right, basically this is the structure. This is diagram. How does secondary growth occur at the stem? Okay, this is in the first year, second year, and the third year. Okay, we go to the first year first. Right, okay, so this is the cross section of the stem. Okay, as we can see here, this is the vascular cambium. Okay, what happened in the vascular cambium? The cells here divide actively by mitosis and produce new xylem cells and also new phloem cells. Okay, and produce primary xylem here and a primary phloem. Okay, in the second year, okay, what happened in the second year? In the second year, the vascular cambium divide again actively by mitosis. Okay, by mitosis and produce new xylem and new phloem. Okay, so here refer to the new xylem that called as secondary xylem, and the dark region here refer to the primary xylem. Yeah, primary xylem. And here, vascular cambium also produce new phloem cells and called as secondary phloem. And this is the primary phloem. Okay, and the cork cambium here, will also produce the new cells. Yeah, produce new cells. Okay, on the third year. Okay, on the third year, once again, the vascular cambium will produce new xylem and phloem cells and form the other layer of the secondary xylem here. And also the new layer of the secondary phloem here. Okay, so this is the sequence how the secondary growth occur at the stem. Okay, first, secondary growth starts when the vascular cambium divides actively through mitosis. Okay, as we can see here, so this is the cross section of a stem. At the center here is a pith, and then here the ring here is refer to the vascular cambium, and then this is the vascular bundle here. Vascular bundle consists of primary xylem inwards and outwards is the primary phloem. Okay, so what happened at the first stage is the vascular cambium here divide actively by mitosis. Okay, we go to the second one. The cells in the cambium ring divide inwards to form new xylem, okay, and outwards to form new phloem. Okay, the new xylem tissues become secondary xylem and the new phloem tissues become secondary phloem. Okay. Right, okay, in the second stage what happened? The cambium ring divide to form new xylem and new phloem cells. Okay, the new xylem tissues called as secondary xylem and the new phloem tissues called as secondary phloem. Okay, so in the diagram we can look clearly. Okay, clearly here. So this is the vascular cambium, the ring here, refer to the vascular cambium. Okay, and then this is referred to the new xylem cells and become secondary xylem. And here is the primary xylem. Okay, and then here at the outer layer here, outer of the cambium ring, okay, the new phloem cells become secondary phloem, and then the old phloem cell become primary phloem. Okay, the explanation. When undergoing secondary growth, primary xylem is pushed towards the pith, whereas primary phloem is pushed towards the epidermis. Okay, so means here the primary xylem push towards the pith at the center here, while the primary flower push towards the epidermis here. As a result, the primary xylem tissues are compressed to form a stronger wood layer. So this is because the wall of the xylem are thickened with lignin. Okay, so what is lignin? Lignin is a complex structure in the cell walls that provide rigidity to the cell. Okay, so the thickening of the lignin provides mechanical support to plants. Okay, next. Here, so next, number 4 here. When the secondary xylem layer is compressed, okay, there is an addition to the circumference of the stem. What is circumference? Circumference refers to the diameter. Diameter of the stem, which causes the epidermis of the stem to stretch and crack. Here, so okay, we can see here the shed of epidermis occur. Here, the cork cambium actively divides to form cork cells on the outer side and cortex on the inner side. Okay, as we know before, there is another lateral meristem tissue. What are they? Cork cambium. Okay, so this cork cambium will divide actively. Divide actively to form cork cell. Cork cell on the outer layer here. Okay, it will produce cork cell. On the inner layer, it will produce cortex. Okay, the cork layer protects the stem from insect and pathogen attack when the epidermis is cracked. Okay, so this is the cork. The cork. Okay, now we take a look on the secondary growth at the root. Okay, the root of plants also undergoes secondary growth in order to increase the circumference or the diameter of the root. The secondary growth process at the root is the same as the secondary growth of a eudicote stem. Okay, so this is the structure of the secondary growth that occur at the root. As we can see here, this is the epidermis, okay, and then this is the cortex, and then in the center here, the pink color region here is referred to the primary xylem. Okay, the blue region here is primary phloem. In between is the vascular cambium. Okay, so what happened? Okay, first, vascular cambium cells divide actively and combine to form a complete ring. Okay. So as we can see here, the vascular cambium divides actively and form a ring, a complete ring. The cells in the cambium ring divide inwards to form secondary xylem and outwards to form secondary phloem. Okay, so this is the vascular cambium just now. Will produce new cell, divide, produce new cells called as secondary xylem, and also will divide to form the secondary phloem. Okay, due to the vascular cambium activity, the root becomes thicker. The cork cambium located under the epidermis divides actively to form cork cell. The cork cells provide protection to the root tissue. Okay, that's all what happened in the secondary growth at the roots. Okay, now we look at the secondary growth of the monocot. Okay, some monocot also can undergo secondary growth, but most of them are not. Okay, some what are the plants? Dracaena species, aloe vera species, and agave species can carry out secondary growth, but not for the most monocot. Okay, necessity of the primary growth and secondary growth. Okay, necessity refers to the importance of the primary growth. Allow maximum elongation of plants to absorb sunlight for photosynthesis. In other words, allow the plant to grow taller to absorb sunlight for photosynthesis. Okay, primary flower. Primary flower can transport the products of photosynthesis from the leaf to other parts of the plant. Okay, primary xylem can transport water and mineral salts from the soil via the roots to the leaf. And the primary xylem also provides support to herbaceous or young plants. Okay, so these are the necessity of the primary growth. At least you can remember 2 or 3 of the importance. Okay, the necessity of the secondary growth. Okay, first, provide stability to plants by increasing the stem and root diameters to suit the height of the plants. Okay, provide mechanical support to plants. Produce more xylem and phloem tissues. Produce xylem and phloem tissues continuously to replace old and damaged xylem and phloem tissues. Number 5. Produce stronger and thicker bark to provide protection to the plants from excessive water loss, physical injuries and pathogen infection. And last one, able to live longer by increasing the chances of seed production and reproduction. So all of these are the necessity of the secondary growth. Okay, we look at the bioexploration here. Okay, so the age of a plant living in temperate climate can be determined based on the annual growth ring in the stem. Yeah, so you should know the annual growth ring in the stem. Yeah, so what are they? So this is referred to the annual growth ring of the stem. Yeah, annual growth ring of the stem. Okay, this is because secondary growth happens at different rates according to season. So in spring, when there is enough water, supply and sunlight, secondary xylem form a bigger and the wall is thinner. And therefore, the xylem tissue formed in this season are brighter in color. The growth is unsuitable in summer because causing the formation of the secondary xylem to be smaller with thicker walls. Therefore, the xylem tissues that are formed are darker in color. Okay, so we can determine the age of the plant based on the biannual growth rings in the stem. Okay, so this is the secondary xylem that produced in the spring season. And the darker color here, okay, the darker color here, okay, refer to the secondary xylem that produced in the summer. Okay, now we go to the comparison between primary growth and secondary growth in eudicots. Okay, so you should know the similarities and also the difference between the primary growth and the secondary growth. Okay, the similarity of the primary and secondary growth. Okay, both growths can increase the size of the plants permanently. Yeah, both growths occur in woody plants. Okay, both growths involve cell division by mitosis. Okay, differences. Meristem tissue involved here in the primary growth is apical meristem, while meristem tissue that involved in the secondary growth is lateral meristem. Okay, refer to the vascular cambium and cork cambium. Okay, parts of the plant that undergo growth. Okay, primary growth occurs on the stem and roots in younger region of the plant, especially in the shoot and the root tips. Okay, secondary growth occurs when primary growth has ceased on mature stem and root. Okay, direction of growth. Yeah, primary growth occurs longitudinally or vertically. Yeah, while in the secondary growth, growth occur radially. Radially means horizontally. And then the growth effects increase the length of stem and roots of plant. Yeah, increase the length of stem. Increase the length of stem and root of plant. While in the secondary growth, increase the thickness or circumference of stem and roots. Okay. Tissues and structure form. In primary growth, epidermis, cortex, and primary vascular tissue refer to the primary xylem and primary floorworms are formed. Okay, while in the secondary growth, bark, periderm refer to the cork cambium and the cork tissues, lenticels, and the secondary vascular tissue, which is the secondary xylem and secondary floorworm, are formed. Presence of the woody tissue. In the primary, do not have woody tissue, while in the secondary have woody tissue. Okay, the thickness of the bark. Okay, in the primary, bark is thin, while in the secondary growth, bark is thick. Okay, presence of the annual growth ring. So in the primary, there is absence of the annual growth ring. Okay, while in the secondary, there is a presence of annual growth ring at the plant stem. Okay, last one. Okay, we go to the economic importance of plants that have undergone secondary growth. Okay, so for this one, you have to list down the economic importance of the plant, yeah? Especially for the plant that already undergo secondary growth. Okay, they have a high economic values because they can produce timber such as Shorea, Meranti, and Balanocarpus refer to the journal. Okay. So, first, plants that undergo secondary growth have strong and hard roots which are suitable to be used as structure for houseboat, furniture, fences, doors, and the others. Okay. The presence of the annual rings makes furniture look attractive and they can be made as decorative items. The woods and parts of some plants such as Popia species, merawan, pokok merawan, and meranti can produce resin and oil. Yeah. The substance can be commercialized as varnish, adhesives substance, perfumes, and also medicine. Okay, flowering plants can be made as decorative plants. Okay, commercialized fruits such as mangoes and mangosteen, products of plants that have undergone secondary growth and then are able to generate income as well as boost economic growth. Okay, so all of these are economic importance of plants that have undergone secondary growth. I hope you all can study again, read again and again until you all understand about the 1.2 meristematic tissues and the growth. Okay, thank you girls.